Oh, good. There's our recording notification. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Thank you everyone for taking the time out of your day today. I'm super excited to talk about loyalty programs, to learn about your businesses. I think we have a pretty nice number, so we can kind of make this interactive. But my plan today is to kind of go over a general idea of, I think we want a loyalty program, or we have a loyalty program and I don't know if it's working quite right. What can we do to clean it up? What can we do to start one? What kind of questions should we be asking? My foundation is going to be kind of based on a B2C retail restaurant kind of model. Now, that being said, I built in a lot of time for questions, for interruptions, for that kind of thing. So if you have a bit of a different business model, don't worry. We'll get a chance to get to that idea, and we can talk through what some of that looks like. So let's see here. Here's in general the plan for the afternoon. Go through a quick introduction, talk about the importance of loyalty programs, and the nuts and bolts that go into creating a loyalty program or fixing your current loyalty program. And then we'll talk about a really important part, which is using that program as a tool to drive repeat customers. Finally, would it be complete if we weren't tracking success in some way for that program? And we'll end with a ton of time for questions. Isra did a great job of kind of giving me a nice introduction, but I'll tell you why I maybe sort of qualified to talk about this subject. Back when I was 7, I joined the sub club. You may also be a member of the sub club, but I think that the sub club really introduced me to loyalty programs. And I don't know, it's been a lot of time, 33 years, and I got to say that I never once was able to keep one of those cards. I lost every single one. They went in the washing machine. I threw them away. I lost the stamps. But at the time, I remember thinking, Subway's going to lose a lot of money on me. I'm going to get lots of free subs, and here I am. So fast forward a little bit. Like Isra said, I after college had a chance to be a 3rd grade teacher in Brooklyn. So I'm totally used to being interrupted while I'm talking. So please, if you have a question, you want to stop me. I can't actually see you. I'll just pretend that my jokes are landing. But if you have something that you want to ask, or there's something that comes up and you're like, wait a second, I don't get that. Just interrupt me. I'm totally used to it. And then after teaching, I got my MBA from the University of Colorado, and in 2011, I joined the team at Race Pace Bicycles, which at the time we had 4 bike shops in the Baltimore, Maryland area. We were looking to grow. So one of my first kind of duties out there was helping to open our first city store in Baltimore in 2011. We grew to 7 shops over my time there, and in 2013. Excuse me. One program that I helped out with was starting our rewards program, which we called Race Pace Rewards. And I'll tell you, I'd probably give us a solid B on our rollout of that program. And I think the most important thing there is that I learned a lot of potential pitfalls. So we'll get to some of those. And then, like Isra said, I'm super fortunate now to be working at the Polsky Center. I manage a bunch of our programming around entrepreneurship through acquisition. And I also have the pleasure of coaching some of our small business growth teams. And I know some of my teams are on the call today. I'm a little famous / infamous for kind of going on rants. And one of my most famous rants was right around loyalty programs, which gave me the idea for giving this little talk today. We were working with a client over the summer, and our group was just digging really deep into analyzing, what kind of percentage does each dollar earn you in points, and are the customers happy with 10%? Do they all want 8%? Should we look at 12%? How's it being used? And I started looking at it and I realized that the company we were working with was just giving away the money. They weren't doing anything with the data. They weren't collecting the data. They weren't utilizing any of it. They were just discounting their most popular customers, the customers who came the most. So it's like, oh, let's see where a big chunk of our money is coming from. All right, let's give them a discount, which I mean is great for kind of creating a relationship, but I lost my mind a little bit. So that's what started this idea. So let's quickly talk about the importance of loyalty programs. I assume that most of you are on board with this general idea, seeing that you are dedicating your time to it right now. But a loyalty program at its best is an extension of your customer service. If you have a face-to-face retail business or a restaurant or something like that, my guess is you probably pride yourself on great customer service. Your loyalty program should do the same. You know, if it's an online business, if you have really clean, great communication on your business, everything is seamless, your loyalty program should be the same. So remember that these programs are an extension of that customer service and should match and mirror what you're presenting as your core business. And one other thing I'll say about that customer service is, in all of my time working retail, I would say that loyalty programs are the single most kind of reoccurring category for upset customers. When you give customers some kind of points or status or accumulation of rewards, they have an ownership over those. And if you do them dirty on those rewards, it's not pretty. It's seen as kind of taking money out of their hands. So the number of times that I've had to work with a customer and talk a customer down because they were irate at us messing up their rewards or not giving them the right number of rewards, or they're not showing up. It was getting punished for trying to go above and beyond to give the customer something. So that's the kind of negative side of the customer service area if you don't implement this correctly. Loyalty programs help your sales team. I don't know how your businesses work, but we were constantly at the bicycle shop getting hit with the "what about my discount" question. You know, people had all kinds of reasons that they should be getting a discount. Some of them were legitimate. You know, oh, I'm a teacher, or oh, I'm a medical professional, or all that was great. One time I sold a bicycle kid seat, so for a baby, to someone, and they said, well, do you have a new parent discount? And I said, no, I mean, if we had a new parent discount, we'd be discounting every single one of these we sold as they're for babies. And they said, well, do you have a locals neighborhood discount? And I was like, well, we're a local neighborhood bike shop. No, so this is a great question and a great help a lot of times for your sales staff when they're trying to close a sale. And especially if it's a higher dollar value, the customer will ask, well, what do I get with this? What do I get with this purchase of a bicycle? What do I get with this purchase of a vacuum cleaner or whatever it is? Oh, well, you get to, you can join our rewards program. And what you get with that is you get a discount on future purchases, and you get access to this and that. And we'll go through all the things that you can get with a loyalty program. But this is a great way and a tool to give your sales staff to take what is a tricky question, the "what about my discount" question, and kind of turn it around and provide that customer with some utility. So repeat customers have incredible value and are far less expensive to acquire than new customers. If you like numbers and you like geeking out on this stuff, there are a bunch of great numbers out there. This one was one of my favorites that I found. A repeat customer is 5 to 7 times, a new customer costs 5 to 7 times more money than a repeat customer. So if you're spending a fortune on marketing and trying to grow your new customer segment, you might find that it's a whole lot more profitable to put some money into a program like this to try to get that customer churn up and have repeat customers. So loyalty programs are becoming the customer expectation. If nothing else, you probably want to have a loyalty program because your competitors probably have a loyalty program. This is not my mother's key ring, but it really resembles my mother's key ring. She has to have like a separate bag for it. I tell her she's kind of moonlighting as a janitor somewhere. She has hundreds of these little cards for businesses that have gone out of business a long time ago. But if nothing else, it kind of shows that these kinds of programs are becoming the norm, and in an effort to keep up, you may just have to play along if nothing else. So I'll assume that, that you're all sold on the importance of a loyalty program. Let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of, actually, you know what? I'll stop for a second. Does anybody want to interrupt me and have any questions they want to ask right now? Totally cool if you do. Give you a couple seconds. Just unmute yourself and ask away.
You can also add it in the chat as well, if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, and Israel, you'll have to interrupt me with that. I'm having a little trouble seeing the chat. So if somebody has a great question, just interrupt me, Israel, and call on them. Okay.
Any comment that she was also in the sub club.
Oh, sub club. Whew. Annie, did you ever get a sandwich out of it?
You know, probably not from Subway. There were many other punch card things that I was better at keeping track of, but Subway, I don't think I ever got even a 6-inch sub.
Yeah, you're far more disciplined than me, though, I assure you. All right, so let's talk about the nuts and the bolts of creating a loyalty program. And again, some of this is focused on creating it from scratch, but a lot of this can be applied if you have an existing program. These questions all have to be answered. If they're not answered, there's a hole somewhere in your loyalty program, and it's going to make a customer angry. So let's start from the customer side. Don't make this difficult for your customer. It's the number one rule. We're trying to reward the customer. We're trying to extend our customer service. Don't irritate them. So if you're creating a loyalty program, you should be able to answer these questions no problem. So these are all from the customer's voice. What do I get? What does a customer get from your loyalty program? Do they get a percentage off? What is it? Does it scale up? Does it start at 2%? And if you spend a certain amount of money, does it go to 3%? This seems really simple. This is one that you could really irritate people if you change down the line. If you started at 10% and then after a year you were looking at your numbers and you're like, oh my God, we're giving away a ton of money. And then you go back and you make it 4%, people are gonna be angry. Don't make it too confusing for your salespeople. I remember when we started ours, it was one of those that kind of scaled up. So it started at like 1.5%. And then if you spent this much money, it jumps to 2.1%. And if you spend this much money, it jumps to this. Trying to explain that to the customer, you lost them immediately. So if you're going to give a percentage off, make sure it's something that's easy to understand. Do you get special deals? Do you get special perks like free shipping? Do you get gifts? Do you get access, like VIP access or early access to something? You know, those are all questions about what you get. And we'll go over more specifically some of those later in the presentation, but you need to be able to answer that. Where do I sign up? This seems pretty simple, but the customer needs to understand it. Do they sign up online? Do they sign up in an app? Do they have to download an app? Do they only sign up if you're talking to them one-on-one? You have to sign them up as the representative of the business. If it's multiple places, if it's the app, if it's the website, and it's in person, from the business perspective, and we'll get into this a little with the business checklist, you have to make sure that all that information is going to the same place, because maybe you're doing a great job of recording all the people who join the loyalty program in person, but oops, I forgot to upload all the people who joined on our website. So, you know, it seems simple, but you got to answer that question. Customers always ask, what happens to my data? Where does it go? Where do you sell it to? Who's getting that data? You giving it to the Russians? Who's getting my data? So the important thing here is, for most of us, if you have a small business, the answer is, we're the only ones who touch your data. You know, your data stays with us. It's safe with us. You only have to give what you want. We're not selling your data. Now, some of the big organizations out there, they'll use a broker, and they will sell that data. And if you're getting into that, we're not going to get too deep into that today, but a lot of companies make a lot of money on selling this data. You'll want to kind of talk to a broker in that area and see if that makes sense for you and for your customers. But for a lot of the smaller businesses out there, I highly recommend just kind of making it really clear that that data does not leave your establishment. What do I have to give you to be a member? You know, both in information and in money. Do I have to pay to be a member? Is there an annual fee? Is it a one-time fee? You know, REI has one of the most incredible rewards programs out there with their dividend program, where you're kind of technically an owner of REI when you walk in there. They don't really like that when you say it, just as a note, but you have to pay $20 for your life, and then you're some kind of REI owner. Amazon Prime, very strategic, Israel, that we decided to do this on Amazon Prime Day, probably the most successful loyalty and rewards program out there. You pay an annual fee. You know, lots of other examples of having to pay a fee. If you're charging a fee for your rewards program, you better be giving some very clear returns. And then on the information side, what do I have to give to be a member? What is it that you want? Are you communicating with your customers via a text message app? Are you communicating with them solely through email? Are you sending snail mail to them? Like, what's your mode of communication? And don't bug them for a lot of the other pieces if you don't actually need them. Don't sit there and get their address if you never plan on sending them snail mail. You know, try not to irritate your customer. So ask the questions that you need the answers to, and say, so that, you know, at the bike shop, our answer was, what do I have to give you to be a member? It was your email address. And then how do I use my rewards? Do I have to carry around a card? Is it associated with my my phone number? Do I have to pull up some kind of app and show you the app? You know, how is a customer going to use their rewards? Am I able to use the rewards online, or do I just use them in person? So they're all questions that your customers are going to ask. From the business side, here's your checklist. There can't be any holes here, or else you're going to have an upset customer. So how do we ask? This is a big one for, you know, if it's online or through an app, that's going to be pretty regulated, and you'll have that down. But you know, we had a kind of a script at the bike shop of how we asked. It was hey, would you like to join our rewards program today? You get 2% back on your purchases, and we gave a free pint glass, which I have a picture of later, and I'll give you this sweet pint glass. And people immediately, all they heard was blah 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 blah, free pint glass, and it was like, oh yeah, I want that pint glass. So you know, it's sorry, I think the garbage man is outside of my window here, but you know, make sure that everyone is asking in the same way. And you know, the way the bike shop works is there's two registers kind of next to each other, and I always remember I'd lose my mind if one salesperson was working with somebody and checking them out, and another salesperson was working with somebody and checking them out, and one asked about the rewards program and the other one didn't, and you could just see the customer's eyes like, what about my rewards program? So you have to make sure it's every single time, and we tracked it. When we started. We tracked it by tracking email addresses, which is what we were collecting. And when we started, we were able to capture about 45% of email addresses from our sales. And our goal that we set was 70%. And when I left, all the stores were right around 65%. So we had really raised it up. But track it, and you can track into, you know, depending on your point of sale system, you can see how individual employees are doing. And for a lot of us, when we're always looking for short-term goals for our part-time employees, you know, how many times does a part-time employee come up to you like, oh, I want a raise or whatever? This is a great, really achievable, and depending on your POS system, it may be a really easy to track metric of, oh, well, you know, one goal I have for you is to have 70%, you know, capture rate on the loyalty program. So where does the information go? And I actually mean, like, where does it actually go? Okay, how do we decide, how do we mark someone as a member? Is it through our POS system? Are we doing a third party? Are we jumping onto Excel and typing in their information? how are we tracking this information? And I'm not gonna say one is better than the other. I'd say the less layers, the easier this gets, especially as you start thinking about part-timers during your peak season and trying to implement all of this. But you got to make sure that the information gets put in pretty smoothly, and you know where it uploads to. Okay, all of my information shows up on a daily report, or all of my employees are putting it in manually into a shared Excel or shared Google Excel document, and we're looking at it at the end of the night and uploading it into our system. But you got to make sure you know where that information is going and that you don't lose track of that information. And then you got to make sure you know how you're going to use that information. Okay, well, we upload it every day, and every week we then add the email addresses to our MailChimp account, or we have a person who is completely in charge of this, and we make sure they get it. But you have to have a system in place that is kind of shepherding this information along. And then what kind of technology do we have / need? I talked about that a little bit. Do you need to use a third party? Is your point of sale system have this? That's a great first step for a lot of you, is if you have a third party point of sale system, call them and say, hey, do you guys integrate with any kind of loyalty program or rewards program? If so, how does it work? You'd be amazed, a lot of these systems, they don't even like showcase it as part of selling you their system, but they have that built in. Or at a very simple level, we found a workaround. It was for some reason our point of sales had an account number that it gave every customer, and we figured out that we could add a letter to the start of that account number. We always added an R, and at the end of the night, we could sort every account number that had an R, and those are the people we could add to our loyalty program. So if your point of sales doesn't do it, maybe you have a workaround. And then how do you keep track of rewards? This is a real question if you have an accumulating system. So say you earn points on a purchase. You buy a pair of socks, you get points for a future purchase, and those points go in a bank of some sort. That is sometimes when you get into accumulation of points, that becomes something you need a third party for. But how do we accumulate points, and how does our customer know what's in their bank? What does that look like? And the last part I'll say about accumulated points, and this is kind of weird, but it can be a bit of an accounting problem. Technically, that's a liability because it's money that you owe to your customers. And I found a stat out there that 50% of rewards points, or rewards dollars in this case, go unused. The way that we treated them is we kind of treated them the way you treat a gift card. That's money that's been paid for, that's kind of out there, that's gonna be a liability to your business. It may never get used. So my big tip there is make sure to mention this to your accountant, because there are some kind of tricks around how you treat that liability. So real quick, and this is going to be a little bit tricky. I guess first, does anybody have a question about this slide? And then I want to do a little bit of an audience participation thing. But unmute yourself if you have a question about this slide, and maybe introduce yourself before you ask your question. Anybody? All right, speak now. One other question for you guys, and I know this is a big ask. Does anyone out there in our call today, even though you're gonna get called on it probably, but does anybody out there, do they have a rewards program at their business, at their place of work? Anybody willing to volunteer for me? I'll be forever thankful. All right. Second question, anybody out there have a rewards program that they absolutely love? Like their favorite?
Yes, I actually do.
Okay, great. What's your name?
I'm sorry. I actually wanted to answer the first question, but I wasn't muting.
That's all right. What's your name?
Yes, my name is Sylvia, and I'm the owner of Soul Pause Bath and Body. And
Cool.
all of this that you're saying is just, I'm just jotting down notes as you're talking, because These are things that were just moving around in my headspace, but I didn't know which ones were the most important. So thank you for this, Paul.
Sure.
My most, actually my favorite rewards program is between 3 actually. So Walgreens, because I use it like all the time. I love when I spend so much and they give me $5 worth of points, and then I go in and I spend the $5, or they'll say, "Oh, you want to use the dollar?" I say, "No, roll it over, roll it over." I'm like, "No, I want to spend as much so I can get the $5 coupon." And it's crazy how much money I spend at Walgreens to get those points so I could get $1 off.
Right.
And then my second favorite one, of course, any girl will know, she loves her shoes. So DSW, I love my rewards program with DSW.
DSW
And
does
Ulta.
incredible things with, have you ever, Sylvia, done the DSW donation rewards?
No, I haven't got that far
So
yet, apparently.
DSW does something incredible where they will encourage you to donate lightly used shoes, and they'll give you extra rewards for doing it. So you don't get any money or anything, but you get rewards for doing it. So basically, they're buying you a piece of like social pat on your back.
You are going to feed my addiction.
That's, no, that was one of the most brilliant, I was going to talk about that later, but that's one of the most brilliant things that I've seen a rewards program do.
Yep. So those are my favorite, definitely my favorite.
And last question I have for you, Sylvia, have you ever been wronged by a rewards program? Have your points ever not shown up?
Have they not shown up? I think in the beginning, again, Walgreens, I felt like I purchased something. So they'll have those little stickers in the store. They say if you buy 2, it's either Walgreens or Target, because Target does that too. You buy 2 or 3 of the same toiletry products, you'll get a $5 card.
Right.
And I went to the register and I'm waiting for my $5 gift card again. And they're like, "No, nothing you have applies." I'm like, wait a minute, I purchased this so I could get the $5.
So everyone else, remember this. This happened many years ago on a $5 beauty product, and Sylvia still remembers it. So remember that yes, you can really do your customers wrong. If we have some time later, Sylvia, thank you so much for did you have another question, or is that?
No, that was it. I'm happy
beautiful.
to share.
Thank you so much for participating. Well, I want to make sure we have time for some other things, but we'll return to this slide during the questions. All right, so we've done all this work. We've created a loyalty program. We've made sure that all the customer questions are answered. We've made sure that all the business questions are answered. We have a perfect loyalty program. We're going to give some rewards. We're gonna drive repeat customers. We're all set to go. Your work is not done. This is so important. A lot of times a company will launch the rewards program and then they're just like, well, we're all done there. If you think your work is done, you are throwing money into the air. It is going away. You are just lighting it on fire. Because your loyalty program is a Trojan horse to a certain extent. It is your way of asking for data. Sylvia, are you still on the line? Now, see,
yes,
so I'm gonna make it so no one ever wants to volunteer again, because I'm just gonna pick on Sylvia. Sylvia, how does it make you feel if I ask you, if I'm ringing you up at a store and I say, hey, I need your email address and phone number? How does that make you feel?
I get a bit apprehensive.
Absolutely, you do.
Yeah.
But if I say, hey, Sylvia, I've got this great plan. I'm going to give you some money back on your sale today, and we have a gift for you. That's a lot of a different kind of feeling, isn't it?
It is. Yep.
Great. So thank you, Sylvia. Your rewards program is a bit of a Trojan horse. It's getting you the email information or the phone number information that is so critical to driving some of your customer-related marketing campaigns. And it's doing it in a way where you're making the customer feel comfortable and you're rewarding the customer instead of making them feel kind of like, oh, what's this guy doing asking me for my information? The gentleman underneath the Trojan horse is Dr. Garcia. Dr. Garcia has no idea who I am, but he is my dentist, and and I have never missed an appointment with Dr. Garcia, because Dr. Garcia lets me know that I have appointments with him before I know that I have appointments with him. He knows that my teeth need help before I know that my teeth need help. In your business, no matter what it is, can especially if it's a service-oriented business, can get on that process. You know, through our rewards program, we were able to track purchases, and we were able to track service purchases. So when a customer got a bicycle tune-up, for example, I knew that in 10 months, they were gonna need another bicycle tune-up, and I could sort that. So I knew that their bike needed work before they knew that their bike needed work. Same with things like oil changes or haircuts or nail salons. These are all businesses where your product, you have an idea of when it runs out, or you have an idea when that service needs to be renewed, and you can set somebody up with kind of a chain of emails through MailChimp, where through the course of the lifetime of whatever their service or project is, you know, they get these emails. But that's a great way to use your data. If you are more on the retail and food side of things, you know, this is a great way to drive those repeat businesses with special things. You know, we have a special on the menu tonight, or we have you know, a special deal, or you know, give them reasons. If you're gonna use this information that you've gotten, give them reasons to come in. Don't just send an email for the sake of sending an email. Have something really exciting out there. People love surprises. I will say that the loyalty industry, so to speak, has gotten a little lazy with this. They always send you something on your birthday. Oh, a free milkshake on your birthday, or a free this on your birthday. Send it on their half birthday. Send it on some other day. Send it on, you know, your company's birthday, although you don't want to necessarily do that, because then they'll all come in at the same time. But give them a surprise when they're not expecting a surprise, and customers will love that. You know, maybe it's a $5 coupon or something, or if it's food, you know, free this or that. Third-party deals. This is huge on the supplier end. If you have sales reps that come into your business and they say, have a new product. Let's say you have a restaurant and you have a sales rep that sells ice cream, and they've got a new flavor of ice cream. They really want you to carry this flavor of ice cream. Come on, just bring in this new SKU for me. Bring in marshmallow, and you're like, I don't want to bring in marshmallow, but this is a great way to use your loyalty data. It's like, oh, well, you know what? I've got this bank of however many loyalty customers. What if I send an email out and say, you know, if you come in and buy dinner tonight, you'll get a free scoop of marshmallow ice cream from our vendor, so-and-so ice cream. And then all of a sudden, and then the idea would be, of course, that the vendor comps you that ice cream and a chance to give them the free marketing. Your customer's thrilled because everyone loves free ice cream. You're thrilled because a bunch of people came into your restaurant, paid for dinner, and you didn't have to fit the bill on the ice cream. Your vendor's thrilled because one of their premier establishments used their marketing platform to boost up their product, and because they feel really strongly about their marshmallow ice cream, they feel like, oh, now we're going to get that SKU into the restaurant. So, you know, use your loyalty program. Grocery stores are famous for this. You know, every time you're going to use your club card or whatever at the grocery store, usually it's a third party. It's whatever thing you're getting a sale on that's fitting the bill on that. VIP treatment. This is really popular when it's ticketed stuff. You know, maybe there's a pre-sale. Oh, join our loyalty program and you get the access to the pre-sale of this concert, or this vacation package, or this whatever it is. You can use your loyalty members' information to take care of inventory problems. Oh man, we've got way too many of product X. We need to get rid of it. Let's blast it out to our list and see if people are interested in coming in for this. Special events. Special events are great ways to get in. Special events not so great during COVID, of course, but great ways to get your customers back. We're having this event. It's only open to loyalty members. It doesn't always have to be, oh, my money back or my percentage back or that kind of thing. Give people experiences and they'll love it. Always remember to tell your loyalty members thank you. You know, in all of your communications, thank you so much for being a member of our community. Thank you for being so much a member of kind of what makes our business successful. Then they have ownership. Even if you're not REI and you're actually not giving real ownership, it gives that person a feeling of ownership. And then the last thing you can do with your loyalty members is get feedback, send out surveys. Never send out a survey if you don't know what you're going to do with the information. If you ask a question on a survey, make sure you know what you're going to do with the information that you get. Okay. Final thing, and then we'll open it up to questions. Make sure you're tracking your success with your loyalty program. You may not know that you're giving away way too much money. What were the goals for your rewards program when you started? Oh, we wanted to increase return visits. You know, we track each customer. We want, you know, customers normally come in our store 2 times a year. We want to up that to 4 times a year. We want to, and on top of that, we want to increase the spend each time they're in our store. Are we properly utilizing our data? Where are the holes? What have we done this year with our data? What could we do with our data? What changes need to be made? Always, you know, if you're not analyzing it, you're not finding where the holes are, and you're not being honest with yourself about that. And then I put some of the more funny rewards out there, but my car is just filled with Bed Bath & Beyond coupons. Bed Bath & Beyond is going to go out of business, and I'm going to be left with 1,000 Bed Bath & Beyond coupons. You got your Southwest drink coupons. Those are gold that will be used again one day, hopefully. That's the pint glass that we used to give away when someone joined the rewards program at the bike shop. Pint glasses are super cheap. I had no idea, but people were so pumped on those pint glasses, and they cost us like 30 cents a piece or something crazy. REI dividend. If you've been to a CVS recently, you know about the crazy receipt that you get at a CVS with all the coupons and discounts. So those are just some funny pictures. I want to open it up to questions. I'm going to close the slideshow just so I can see your faces, but I can go back to any slide you want. And guys, thanks so much for listening to me go there. But let's get everybody involved.